Floated it on my card, and they would clap.
We do it again.
Thank
Okay, citizens reporting.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I see a lot of faces I saw yesterday. Thank you for coming again. I'm going to pass out the agenda for today, and I'm going to pass out the sign-up sheet. For those of you who are attending via Zoom, if in the comment section, you would write your name, the name of your organization, and what title you carry in your organization. I'll use that for the attendance list. I'm going to start passing this out, but I will turn it all over to Mr. Russo, our wonderful accountant. Thank you very much for coming.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you for attending. It's going to be a fascinating hour of finances. Woo-hoo. I know. So my name is Julie DeRusso. It's easier to say if you don't see it. It rhymes with Robinson Crusoe. You don't even have to worry about that. Just call me Julie, Julie D. I'm the only Julie on the staff of faculty here at the School of Law. I am the accountant under the academic budget and operations manager. That seat has actually been just filled this week, last week. We're notified of it. So together, those two positions, my position, the budget manager, Corey Payne, who's sitting taking notes, doing some work, and Donna McMurray in the back in the green, we all together kind of run the finances for the law school, which includes student organizations and treasurers. So you can come to any of us. We have an email that comes specifically to the four of us called accounting@washburnlaw.edu. So you don't have to find Julie. Oh dear, how do I spell that last name? You can just do accounting@washburnlaw.edu. My office is across the hall from admissions. Hopefully everybody knows where admissions is. So you kind of walk past the sofas and tables, and then I have that little door. My supervisor, the academic budget and operations manager, their door is right across from the dean's suite. Corey and Donna reside in the dean's suite. So Corey and Donna both deal with the food orders. It's really important here because we have a contract with Chartwells that we can only allow food from Chartwells. And we, as the only school on campus, are the only ones that are allowed to have this special deal with Glory Days that allows us to have somewhat hot pizza here. So we're very thankful for that. Like I said, they both deal with it. Corey's going to talk about food a little later. She also does all the student travel. So you will have contact with her most likely if you're going to be part of traveling as part of your studies. So I have unusual hours. I am part-time. I only work 20 hours a week, 3 days a week. I am on campus on Thursdays. That's why we have that accounting at Washburn Law, because from Thursday at 3 p.m. to Tuesday at 9 a.m. I'm incommunicado. You can always email that. And if one of them needs me to answer something pretty quickly, they all have my cell phone number and they can just text me. So, make sure that you write down, I will on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays get back to you with any questions you may have. We are going to start with the website. So Glenn is driving for me today. I'm very thankful. We're going to start at the homepage. This is washburnlaw.edu. Up in the middle there where it says current students, right there, is where you're going to want to go for financial information on student organizations. And then you can go ahead and click that, and then that's the current students kind of at the top. Yeah. And then over on the right, you're probably familiar with where it says student organizations. This is a listing of student organizations and officers and members. You want to make sure you keep that up to date so that if Dean Leisinger, say, gets someone who calls him and says, I've got a paid internship for somebody that has this particular set of skills, do you have anybody? He's going to reference them. Make sure you keep that up to date for those purposes. But we're going to skip that for now, and we're going to go down to the funding, financial information, and food ordering. This is where it kind of starts for us. So we have some quick links for you. Below that are the questions. This is my email. If you can't remember how you need to specifically get a hold of me and you can't remember how to spell my name, that's my actual email address. And if you can scroll down just a little bit. Then there is also Director Grouse on there. She is our compliance officer, and she is the one that if you have a written piece of paper that an outside vendor wants you to sign, you're going to want to send that to her, because nobody at the School of Law, faculty, staff, nobody can sign contracts on behalf of your organization. That all is a university thing. We like to plan when it comes to things like that, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. So we're going to talk about funding mechanisms, and this means, how do I get money from my organization? That's what everybody wants to know. And we have 3 ways for your organization to have access to funding. So the first way we're going to talk about is the WSBA allocated budget. Those are, that's the amount of funds that WSBA treasurer says your fund has, your organization has $300. And that means you have to use it or lose it. So you spend $150, let's say, and you think, oh, next year we'll use that other $150 plus the other $300. It doesn't work like that. It has to be used or it is gone. Those monies just roll back into WSBA so that their balance builds up, and then they get a little more to award each year. So that is the first way. For that kind of funding, you are going to be in contact with your WSBA treasurer. You can also contact the president, but they'll probably just send you to the treasurer. So that's the first method. The second method is something called an agency account. An agency account is held here at the university under your student organization's name, and it's like a bank account. So prior members of your student organization, through their activities of fundraising, through either donations or selling items or t-shirt sales, whatever, that kind of thing, rolls forward every year so that there will be a balance for your organization. This is where, when you do fundraising, you want to deposit those monies into this account because it doesn't go away like the WSBA funds. And then you can also pay for items out of that account for your events. So the difference between the two, again, WSBA is going to, those funds are use it or lose it. Agency accounts is money that I have rolled over every year and I should have a balance for. The other main difference is, and I'm going to talk about this more than once, WSBA funds cannot be used to purchase alcohol because those are actually funds that come from student activity fees. And that is considered university money out of the general fund. And the agency account is a little more flexible for that kind of thing. Also, donations cannot come out of the WSBA to outside charities, cannot come out of WSBA funds. Like I said, we'll talk about that again. So we've got some important things to point out as far as transactions or access to funds and timing. For advance payments, so let's think about, we're going to have a DJ at a venue and this DJ wants $200 up front. If they haven't had you asked you to sign a contract, we'll ignore that for now. You are going to want to get about 3 weeks in advance, you're going to want to request a quote from the vendor and then process a payment voucher. Payment voucher for WSBA funds will go to the treasurer. Payment voucher for agency accounts will generally run through me, Corey, Donna can process some of those, that kind of thing. So when we think about the contracts and rental agreements, again, this is Director Grau's area of expertise. So you will want to touch base with her, and it will not be in your student works name, it'll be in the university's name, but she can help you with all that. For a simple one-page contract, she has asked that you allow 3 months. If it's more complex than that, we've seen it take up to a year, because this doesn't just come from us. It's got to go over to the general counsel at the university, and then their office has to review it. So that's why we like you all to plan ahead for your events, if there's a contract involved particularly. The other thing that we want to talk about is, and keep in mind, is gift cards. So there was a period of time here at the university, the gift cards weren't even allowed to be purchased. And the use of gift cards generally is, at one of our meetings, we're going to have a raffle, and then we're going to give away gift cards. And that's great. You can do that because it's sort of a game of chance. If the gift card is used as a thank you to someone, either way, you're going to have to provide names and how the person was chosen through the game of chance. But if it's a thank you for someone, that's a dual impact payroll tax issue. So the person receiving it is going to either, if they're a university employee, they're going to receive a deduction because of payroll taxes. And then your student organization is also going to get the employer side of the payroll taxes. So anytime you want to thank someone, and let's say one of the custodians who do great jobs here, and we really appreciate it, but anytime you give them money for something like that, the IRS considers it compensation, and that's where the payroll taxes kick in. For the game of chance, let's say you have 25 people and 5 of them win gift cards, you will need to provide those 5 people's names and how they were chosen. And the reason for that is the university keeps track. Once the individual receives over $600 in gift cards, will be 1099 by the university. So they're both tax issues. It's just one's a payroll tax and one's a 1099, which is a form of payroll tax as well. So sorry, that's really long-winded, but it's really important. Gift cards cannot be used for, let's just say in this instance, I go and buy a gift card to give to Dean Lowry because she's an amazing smoker. She does great barbecue. And I say, here, go to Dillon's and get us 20 pounds of ribs. I will not be reimbursed for that gift card. That it cannot work in that manner for the university. So keep that in mind. I don't want anybody to not be able to get their money for something fun like a barbecue. So, for the WSBA funds, we're going to slow down just a little bit. We are hoping, there's my gift cards and my advance payments. And there is a video also for the online vendors. So we prefer, for your benefit actually, to use a prepayment form. One of the prepayment methods, that way money is not out of your pocket. You don't have to wait for reimbursement that. So we kind of hope for that, particularly since sometimes it can take up to 2 weeks for payment vouchers to be processed for reimbursement. So the prepayment option, like I said, that way it's not out of your pocket. The other reason we like this, and you should like this as well, is you get to take advantage of our tax exempt status for sales tax. So you won't have to pay sales tax. We go through this. For also the WSBA allocated funds, we have agreements with some vendors, and the advantage there is, again, not out of your pocket, can be tax exempt. And that those vendors are, and I believe we have them listed there, is Amazon, Staples, Sam's Club, and Dillon's. You can just contact Corey and she'll be happy to kind of help you along with that. Corey.
One note on Amazon, if your student org looks online and sees a certain price, that is not the same price that we will get, so it may differ a little bit. It may be higher, it may be lower. And just because we have a Amazon account with Prime does definitely not mean that we can get 2-day shipping. A lot of our items take over a week to reach this loss. So plan accordingly with that.
So for the people on Zoom that maybe didn't hear that, Corey was saying that for Amazon, if you go to your Amazon account, look up the price of something, it may not be the exact same price as we get. We have a little more volume. I'm not saying that the price is always lower, but it can be. And the other thing was shipping. We do not get free 2-day shipping for Amazon products. So don't think my event is going to be Friday. Here it is Wednesday. Yahoo, I'll just order it now and we'll get it. It's not going to work like that. You need to give us a little bit of leeway. So the other thing for any of these, those 3 funding mechanisms, Carly Davis in marketing has let us know that if you have a speaker that comes and you would like to provide them a nice gift, she has, depending on availability, she has free Washburn logo items that she can provide you to give to your speaker as a speaker gift. A lot of our speakers are alumni and they love getting Washburn logo items. So that's kind of fun. She also wanted me to let you know that she has free note cards available. So there's nothing like somebody coming to speak and getting a handwritten thank you on a note card. So go to her if you want them for other things you can, but particularly for speakers, that's a nice thing to do. So Glenn is going to skip us down now, I think, to agency accounts. There we go, right there, just like we thought. Agency account, again, is like a bank account. Most of the organizations that have an agency account will have more than a zero balance. So you can always contact us. We have a accounting system here at the university that uses what's called focals. It sounds weird, but for the agency account, all you need to know is my account number. My fund number is 800,000. And then the account number of your student organization. And Corey, myself, and the upcoming person to fill the budget manager position will know how to obtain that for you. Most likely you've already had access to that. So in order to access your agency account funds, you will need to fill out an agency account authorization form or a signature card. So just like a signature card with the bank, we need to know who is allowed to authorize spending from that. It's generally 3 people, and then each of your organizations has a sponsor, either faculty or staff sponsor. So you will need that information. It's usually a president, a treasurer, a vice president. Doesn't always have to be, but that's generally what we have. And we like to get those done pretty quickly after leadership changes. And so Corey's going to be sending out to your, probably the presidents, that we've got, here's a new agency account, please fill this out. That way, if you need to get something going quickly, we need to order something, or I need to be reimbursed for something, or one of our members need to be reimbursed for something, it's not hung up in the signature process. So that's pretty important. Like I said, Corey Payne is the coordinator for those. So for disbursements, we have what we call payment vouchers, and that's just a document that says, here's who's ordering, here's who we're going to pay, this is how much we're going to pay, and this is how it should be charged. Because again, it could be your Washburn or your WSBA allocated funds, or it could be your agency account funds. So we have payment vouchers. They used to be all PDFs. Now we have something called a dynamic form that you can get to. And there is even a little video that will help you run through that dynamic form. It will even tell you who it's going to be routed to. And those forms are much quicker than the old 2 weeks with a PDF. So we're happy to finally get that moving, get in. Everybody likes to be paid more quickly. If you have any questions about that, you can always ask myself, Donna McMurray, Corey Payne. So they're both in the Dean Suite again. And then the new person starting, and the new person above me, my new supervisor, will be starting March 20th. His name is Brett James. Give him a few days. He may not have your answer right away. So we talked about, yes. And the video is like 9 minutes, so it's really not very long. We want to scroll down though. If you can scroll down to number 5, Glenn. There we go. Supporting documentation and attachments. So let's just say this is a reimbursement. You had to go and buy streamers, and it was, let's say we weren't near the Walmart and I knew I had to get them, came in, but I'd like reimbursement for them. What you're going to need is an itemized receipt. So this receipt has to have at least the minimum of what's up there on it. So it's got to have, it's got to have the vendor name, the payment amount, the confirmation of payment, usually it'll just say Visa or cash, and the name of each item. The itemized receipt is to ensure that we are not maybe inadvertently paying for alcohol. So they won't accept receipts that aren't itemized. This is particularly important if you happen to submit gas receipts. A lot of gas stations won't tell you anything except here's your receipt that we charged your credit card company. So you make sure you get 2 receipts, of course, yours for your credit card company, and then the one that says, I bought this many gallons at the BP station on this date, that sort of thing. The other thing that's really important to know, if you've got a hard copy receipt, we can take either a photograph of it or a scanned copy of it, but you cannot highlight anything. Don't use a highlighter. A highlighter, when they scan it over at the business office, actually redacts the information and turns it black. So a circle is great, an underline is great, an arrow is great. We prefer that we receive receipts that the whole amount is to be reimbursed. Let's say you go to Walmart and you think, okay, I need 3 sodas to get me through the day, and then I have to buy all these items for our student organization. And oops, I forgot to make them separate. If we have that whole receipt and you just indicate to us which ones you want reimbursed, that way we can reimburse you not only for the items, but we can calculate the tax that you paid for those items and you can be reimbursed on that. So that's another good reason to have an itemized receipt. So we like to reiterate things here. So for online orders, so sometimes you order something online, maybe it's not available through Amazon that we can get for you. So some online orders come up with a order total. An order total won't be sufficient for reimbursement. So if you only have something that says order total, it needs to show that it was delivered. And if it doesn't show anything other than that, they've said that, okay, an order total document that says order total delivered, and then a redacted credit card statement showing that those 2 amounts match will work for reimbursement. So again, for reimbursements, we like to say try and allow 2 weeks for processing, and that dynamic form we were talking about, it automatically routes to who you need to have signatures from for approval and to get your money. So now we're going to scroll a little more down to the deposits area. Yay, thank you. So deposits. Our organization wants to raise money, and maybe then we're going to donate proceeds, or we're going to keep proceeds to sponsor a speaker that we want to come or a speaker series we want to have. So once we get those funds through usually 2 ways, we're going to sell something or we're going to ask somebody for donations. Oh, sorry, there's a third way, and that's membership dues. If you're going to sell something that's not a service, you're going to have to accept sales tax on that, something you sell. So I'm going to give you a couple examples. T-shirts, a lot of student organizations like to have T-shirts. That's great, and that's fine. Let's say we decide we're going to sell T-shirts for $15 and we collect $15 from everybody. So out of that $15, if you didn't add your sales tax on top, the university is going to deduct 9.15%. That's the Shawnee County, Topeka area sales tax. So we didn't really make $15 in revenue. It's $15 less 9.15%. If you're thinking, well, we'd like to sell them for $15, and I'm not exactly sure what Julie said the tax rate was, you can usually add 10% and cover that. Another thing that sort of has happened in the past is Carly, the marketing director, will contact Varsity, who was one of our approved vendors for T-shirts. And they say, oh, we can do all those T-shirts for $12. The extra larges will be $13, that kind of thing. And that gets back to you and you think, great, we're going to just do a pass through for everybody except the extra large people, $12 and then $13. And then we get the invoice and we forget about shipping and we forget about sales tax. So if it's your intention for your student organization to pay for the shipping and the sales tax, that's fine. But I don't want it to get to the end and you think, oh no, we didn't think about that. So just keep that in mind. In fact, keep in mind for anything you sell, the state of Kansas thinks it's great that you're fundraising, but they still want their money. So, and they're going to get it one way or another. You can add it on top or they're going to take it from your money. So the only time we don't charge sales tax again is donations, membership dues, and donations and membership dues. Yes, I think that's it. Services, pardon me, services. So if you provide a service, you know, we're going to sell babysitting services. I don't want to get into that legal thing because I would talk to the compliance officer about that. But if there's any kind of service, we don't have to collect sales tax on that. So there is a video on how to fill out the form for deposits. It's really a little easier than in my opinion, it's a little easier than for expenditures. So, so let's talk about our fundraiser. So our fundraiser, let's have a bake sale. We're going to have some people come up with cash. We're going to have some people come up with checks. And then we might have someone come up and say, can I just Venmo this to you? And generally speaking, and there's a whole section on Venmo. Generally speaking, the university discourages the use of Venmo because it's tied to you personally. Even if you open a Venmo account in your student org's name, it still requires a social security number and your contact info. If you want to sell something, let's say bar review tickets, barrister's ball tickets, that kind of thing. We previously did that through PayPal. We are getting away from PayPal and moving towards Marketplace, which is a university sanctioned sales portal. And that is done through the school bursar, Mary Schumacher, and she can set that all up for you. If it's something that's unusual or infrequent and you think, I don't want to go through that with her, and you feel comfortable doing the Venmo, we're not going to sanction it, but we can't tell you not to do it either. The only thing that I would caution you on is if you're going to accept Venmo, we know that our policy is you have to also accept cash and checks. So, because not everybody, we don't want to assume that everybody has a Venmo account or has access to a Venmo account. So let's see. Oh, cash. So let's say you have cash now, you're thinking, what am I going to do with this? So we're going to think of a couple things. First off, don't carry cash around with you. Don't put it in your pocket, your purse, your backpack, and just think, oh, I'll deposit it next week. That's your responsibility. Unfortunately, we'd rather you bring it to somebody at the dean's suite and we will keep it in the vault for you. When you're collecting cash, hopefully you have somebody else there with you. When you've collected cash and you want to deposit it, we suggest that 2 people count the cash, initial a envelope, and then sign your name, give it to the other person, have them do it as well. And then when it's time for the deposit, you can just bring it to us. Same thing if you want us to keep it in the vault. Whoever picks it up can be the second person to count the cash, but we request, we don't require, but we request that there are 2 signatures that have counted that there is $49 in cash in this envelope. So that's really important. The other thing is it's very easy when you think it's going to be so much fun if we just sell t-shirts to our members until the members say, I want an extra large, and then I want 2 extra larges for my kids. And now you have this list of people that have, I ordered a small for my child, then I want a large for me, and then I want 2 extra larges for my friends, that kind of thing. And then you bump into them in the hallway and they say, hey, here's my money. And can I follow you to the locker and pick up my t-shirts? And you forget to write that down because at the end, you're going to be thinking, did I get money from them? Why is there an extra t-shirt? That kind of thing. So make sure you keep good records when it comes to that. And I've been here for 8 years, and I think except for during the pandemic, I've seen it every year where it happens like that. So we don't want any pointed fingers and tear-stained faces around here, right? So we talked about bringing us the deposit. Please bring it to us, and that's so that we can record it in our records. So if you ever come back to us and say, hey, we took a deposit across campus and doesn't seem to be showing up, we don't have any record of it. it's much more, it's easier for us to keep record. We actually keep kind of better records than the university does of things like that. So don't tell them I said that, please. We talked about sales tax. Sales tax also applies to ticket sales and auction proceeds, depending on what the auction is. If the auction proceeds is for a vase, sales tax has to come out of that. If the auction proceeds are for lawn mowing services, that is a service, sales tax does not have to go out of that. Generally, I receive a list of, these are the items that we sold, which ones does sales tax apply for? And then I look in my guide and see which ones the state of Kansas believes that sales tax should be applied to. But but you need to kind of keep that in mind if you're valuing something as well. So you can say value $50 plus tax, or value $50 no tax, that kind of thing. Let's see. So we're going to go to a third option for you all, which I didn't talk about at first because it can kind of muddy the waters, but you do have the option of that's it. There, sorry, doesn't say. So there's a third option for funding. So we have the WSBA allocated funds, your agency account. Sometimes if you decide you want to do an event, have a speaker, you can get that co-sponsored by one of the centers. So Dean Leisinger may have some money in a certain pot that he says, yeah, go ahead and get this speaker. We'll pay for the pizza. Or get this speaker, we'll pay for Chartwells through one of his centers, or Dean Pine in the professional development office may be able to help you with that kind of thing. So we don't want to, if you think, oh, we just don't have the funds to do that, and say you've got somebody who's big in the oil and gas industry, make sure that you go to Dean Leisinger. He may have some funds in that pot for you. Even if you don't have enough funding in from WSBA or in your agency account. So I'm going to skip travel if we can scroll down just a little bit, because Corey is the student travel person. Yes, this is the Venmo account information. I'll let you read that because, as you can see, it's very involved. That's been carefully crafted across campus. So in the event you will be traveling, we're going to let Corey talk about that. The one last thing, I believe, yes, you can go down just a little. Thank you, right there. Restrictions on the use of the student. So this says student organization funds from student fees. That means WSBA allocated monies. So again, those may not be used to purchase alcohol, and they may not be donated to an outside charity. You can see that there's an asterisk there, or a pound sign, or a star, whatever we're using, vernacular we're using today. And that is because there is kind of a, well, if you follow these rules and contact one of us, there may be something you can do for that. In the instance of all of this, we want to think about everything. Officers should be careful of even the appearance of impropriety in the use of funds, any funds, and should contact the Associate Dean for Student Affairs with questions. So just keep that in mind. You know, we don't want anybody getting in trouble. Again, no pointed fingers and tear-stained faces. So in summary, for your events, we'd like you to plan early, touch base with us often, and you're going to have a successful and stress-free year. Okay. So do I have any questions for me in particular? Again, Corey's going to do student travel and food. Anything? I don't see anything.
Just tell them to raise their hands if they have any.
Okay, on Zoom, can you raise your hand if you have any questions? No? All righty. I think I'm going to turn it over to Corey and let her talk about student travel and food ordering.
Great stuff.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, I get the fun stuff. So food orders, again, you have two options, Chartwells or Glory Days. They both ones can be found on the same page. They're super easy to fill out. Please make sure if you're using WSBA funds to submit it to the WSBA treasurer a few days before the actual deadline that it needs to be that the order needs to be placed so that she has sufficient time to also sign off on it. So the form for Chartwell's online will give you all of the pricing. You have to place your order for at least 10. They will not let you go any lower than that. And there is a max of, I think, 40 or 45. So you can't get any bigger than that and keep that same pricing. There are multiple other options that Chartwell's offers. What's listed on the form are the only discounted rates. If you are interested in something outside of what they're offering, a taco bar, a pasta bar, just the basics, you can contact us in the Dean Suite. We have an email account also, orderfood@washburnlaw.edu. And we can get with you to help you explore other options. If, say you want to do muffins for some morning thing, we can help you with that as well. Chartwell's is a hard stickler to deadlines. So when we say that we have to have your order a week ahead of time, we have to have it has to be a week ahead of time. If we go within that week, there's a good chance that they will not accept your order and they will charge you an extra 20%. This includes brand new orders and changes to your order. So if you increase, they could charge you an extra 20%. If you decrease, they could charge you an extra 20%. If you cancel your order within 3 days of your event, they will still charge you for the food. So keep all of those items in mind when you are ordering through Chartwell's. Glory days, super simple. You only have to have it to me 3 days beforehand. Get it to Brittany a couple days before that. And those are business days, not including Saturdays and Sundays, because I don't check my email on the weekends, period. So if you submit it on Friday and it's for Monday, it probably will not get ordered. Whoever is listed on the pizza form, there's a slot who will be meeting the delivery guy at the south patio doors. Whoever is listed in that on that line is responsible for the receipt. The receipt has to be brought to me so that we can reconcile when we get the invoice from Glory Days. So they are responsible for bringing that to me. If by chance you lose the receipt or the delivery driver doesn't hand you the receipt automatically and you forget to ask for it, you're responsible for contacting Glory Days. They can print you another receipt, but you have to be the one to request that. If by chance you don't submit the receipt at any given point and I have to go ahead and pay the invoice, and I've had to harass you multiple times, you probably will not be allowed to order pizza again. Period. Somebody else from your organization will probably have to step up to the plate for that. Do not tip. If they give you the receipt, do not add an additional tip. It is automatically figured off of the number of pizzas that you've ordered. So that Chartwell's driver or the Glory Days driver is getting a tip anyway. So don't worry about that. As part of the agreement with Chartwell's, in order to be able to have Glory Days on campus, we have to pay Chartwell's $1.50 per pizza that you order. So also keep that in mind when you're thinking of costs, because that $1.50 will go back to you per pizza. And that's also figured on the form as well. So yes, any questions on food ordering? No? Okay, so student travel. So student travel, if your organization is going anywhere off campus as a group, it's considered travel. If you're going over to Lawrence for something, Wichita, Kansas City, it is travel. Every student must complete a travel authorization form if they are going on a student or on a school sponsored. Even if you're not seeking reimbursement, it is for liability purposes. All travel arrangements will need to be made through me or someone in the dean's office. We like to try and start making travel arrangements 6 to 8 weeks prior to the trip. We can squeeze it closer to that if it's a last minute something that everybody just found out about, but the more lead time, the better. If you are going someplace close, Kansas City, Lawrence, Wichita, try and ride as a group. If you are traveling as a large group and would like a rental van, we can do that. Washburn gets a discounted rate, and it is actually cheaper for us to rent you guys a vehicle than it is to reimburse you for mileage. So keep that in mind. All you have to do is come and talk with the Dean Suite and we can help get that arranged for you. What else? If you do drive your own vehicles, we will need a list of every student that was in your vehicle while you were driving. Finance across campus is wanting more and more details all the time, so we may ask for a ton of details for travel. So when you are traveling, everyone needs to cover their own expenses. So if you go as a group for a meal after an event or something, everybody needs to have their own meal on their separate receipt. It is an absolute disaster to have everybody on one receipt. So everybody pays for themselves. This includes if you're flying and you have to pay baggage or anything else. It's everybody on their own. The only exception to this is Ubers or Lyfts. If you're somewhere, we encourage you to ride together if you can. Save the university a little bit of money. If you are flying on behalf of the university, we will only reimburse up to $7.50 a day for parking. So if you're flying out of KC, go to the economy parking. Do not park at the closer lots. And as Julie said, an itemized receipt is required for every single reimbursement. It doesn't matter what it is. So you have to have proof that you've paid the vendor, all of that information for everything. Let's see. We have a $50 max per day for meals. Anything over that is on your own dime. And if you choose to tip for a service, whether it be meals, Uber, Lyft, any of those, it is 20% off the pre-tax subtotal. Anything that you tip over that, so if you do the total with tax included, some of that will not be reimbursed to you. It is 20% off the pre-tax subtotal. If you choose to have an alcoholic beverage while traveling, please ask the server to put it on a separate tab. It is quite tedious having to refigure tax and all that to remove that off of there, because a lot of states have different alcohol tax versus food tax, and it takes a lot of time and research on our part. All receipts are due to the Dean's Suite, either in person or electronically, within 2 days of your return from your trip. And all travel expense reports will be prepared by law school staff and then given to you to verify and sign. Excuse me, sorry. Once you sign, that's the end of it. We cannot submit any other receipts, we can't make any changes. So that's student travel in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it, but those are like the main highlights and where we see most issues. Anybody have any questions, concerns? No?
As far as traveling and keeping things down, you're gonna be next anyway, so.
Come on up and we'll make the transition happen. Yes, you did.
You literally did.
This was not in the description. Hi guys, my name is Brittany. I am your WSBA treasurer. So where I was going with that is, if you are going to travel, keep in mind that you get reimbursed, but also you only have so much money that WSBA has allocated to you, which is like $300 baseline for this year. Next year it's going to be different. I don't know where budget committee is going to get started. On the budget committee note, if your organization does have big plans for big events, you need to get your extra budget committee request in. Kylie, remind me, is there a deadline, or do you have a deadline set yet?
I don't have one set yet.
Okay, so just start thinking about that. Talk to your presidents. I'm sure presidents are in here, but I mean, those should be treasurers. So talk to your club. Be like, hey, what is our plan for next semester? What do we want to do? What events do we want to hold? Do we want to do another drag event, or do we want to do some travel events? Like, think about that now, especially for the contract side of things. Like, as you just heard, that stuff needs to be getting turned into like this semester, like the end of the semester. That's mainly, don't email my personal email or my WSBA email for Brittany Winter. Email WSBA treasurer at Washburn Law. I check both emails, but it drives me batty when somebody emails treasurer request to my personal email because I am checking for class updates, personal updates. And it throws off everything on the keeping records side for WSBA treasurer. I want to be able to say like, hey, this is the email from WSBA treasurer. This person asked me this question. I'm trying to get that organized so it can be a more efficient process for our next treasurer. I think I touched on everything. So yeah, bye.
Thank you very much, Brittany. Appreciate it. So the main takeaways are, first of all, everything that you need to know. I know it's a lot of complicated things, but everything you need to know really is on that website. And the videos are very helpful when it comes down to the nitty gritty to like, okay, how do I actually fill out this form? The biggest things are check that website and ask us. When you have an agency account, talk to your organization treasurer. They will probably know how to help you with the agency account. When you have WSBA funds that you are planning on using, talk to Brittany and make sure that you're doing everything right. If you are doing something with the centers, you're co-sponsoring, talk to Dean Leisinger and make sure that all the different funds are approved that might be through the centers. Talk to me, talk to Mr. Russo, talk to the new person that's coming aboard once they come through in March. Talk to the dean's office. Corey and Donna are incredibly helpful. Just talk to us and make sure that everything is okay. We'll talk you through it. The biggest problem is simply not checking the website and not talking to people about what you're planning on doing. Any final questions?
We don't bite, I promise. Also real quick, that I forgot, does that computer have Adobe on it?
This one,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so it is very helpful.
Brittany, sorry. Sorry, this is for the Zoom people.
Absolutely. Okay, so real quick, where I was going with that, it is very helpful that if you have receipts and you're asking for reimbursement, or if you have multiple forms, go on Adobe and I will be happy to anybody who needs that to be shown. I use text for it, so I love helping people with tech. To combine your request forms. When I have 20 different request forms, it's tedious for me to have to go through it individual, and then I go and combine that. It takes time up. So if you guys could take that step for me, I'd greatly appreciate it. If you don't know, if you don't pay for premium Adobe, there's a wonderful site called dochub.com that can do just about anything Adobe can do, but it's free. I'd say it can do this. It can combine forms for you. If you will go. Okay, so this is the washburnstudentbar.org site. If I find this site a little bit easier to navigate, no offense to the Washburn Law site, it's a lot of links. This one's quicker. If you go to student resources and student organization resources, we also have lovely enough put a lot of your student forms, your prepayment forms, your reimbursement forms, your child order forms. If you guys send me something, and this is again why I asked for that extra day, for like that week and that 3 days, the extra day to give me cushion, because if you guys fill out the wrong forms, it's not the end of the world. I'll just be like, hey, this is the wrong form, here's the right form, refill this out for me. And then there's also a bunch of other stuff under there. So like you saw, I don't know it by heart, so you can just literally type in WSBA and Washburn Law, and like that pulls up, follow that link. Or you can remember Washburn Student Org. I think it's on the newsletter. I'm not sure this leads to the newsletter, so yeah. Is that what it needed? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry. Not done.
And remember,
There's a question.
WSBA treasurer at washburnlaw.edu to help Brittany out. WSBA treasurer at washburnlaw.edu. Yes,
I wanted to make an in-person announcement.
Great. so President Roofer is coming up.
Hi, Caitlin Riffer. I'm the president of the Washburn Student Bar Association, if you haven't met me. I sent out in the WSBA newsletter this week a call for donations to the silent auction for barristers. And I figured this is probably the group who will put some action onto that. So I wanted to make an announcement to the presidents and treasurers. Typically, barristers has a silent auction where student organizations donate baskets, so like a spa package from like Infinity Nail Spa, or a landscaping package where you offer that like the exec board on your group is going to go to a professor's house and do some landscaping, that type thing, for people to bid on. All of the profits from that silent auction go to the public interest program, which are scholarships that go directly to law students for living stipends over the summer. So it's something that we really want to support. And I wanted everybody to know and be reminded of that and kind of get your student organizations moving. Barristers is April 8th this year. So if we can get some donations together before that and send them to Maeda Hutchinson back there, she will get those together for the silent auction. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, President Rupert. Vice President Dean, do you have anything to add? Any speakers have anything that has occurred to them since we've been talking? Any questions? Anybody have any general questions? If you have any questions that come up, just email me and I'll put the Q&A in the WSBA newsletter along with the link to the recording. Might not be in this weekend's newsletter, but it'll definitely be in the next newsletter. Thank you very much for attending. You've got a hard job to do and all the students appreciate you doing that.